I had a rough weekend. I didn't eat intentionally. I wasn't exactly listening to my body the way that I wanted to be. I need a little help to bridge that gap.
To quote unquote get back on track, it's not necessarily about the external things you're going to be doing. It's more about recentering yourself. The solution that everybody's looking for, as far as like, how do I stop overeating at the holidays? How do I stop overeating and going on a quote unquote bender during the holiday season? It's
Hey, it's Matt with Aware Nutrition, and this week on the show, very special episode. Megan and I were sitting down, getting ready to do what we had planned for this week's episode, and I had mentioned that I felt like last weekend I was getting off course and I wasn't exactly eating mindfully. It really changed what we were going to talk about for this week. So enjoy this conversation right here. Hey, I had a rough weekend. I didn't eat intentionally. I wasn't exactly listening to my body the way that I wanted to be. And I am accepting that and I'm moving on from that. But it's like I need a little help to bridge that gap.
so when you say bridge the gap, like, can you be more specific?
Well, like
Like,
I did,
what is making it challenging to bridge the gap?
I don't know. Like you're there. You know you made a mistake, right? Like, hey, I overate at this meal and I just did it and I'm okay. But like now I'm trying to correct it. Is it just encouragement or I don't know, but it's just like I think sometimes now it's my food rules and my
Well, that was what I was
problems.
gonna say. That was what I was gonna say. It's like, okay, you're coming off a weekend where you're maybe naming it a bender, right? Where we're going off track. We have not been eating mindfully. Any logical decisions around food have gone out the window. And the question then becomes, well, how do I get back on track? And then I always ask, well, why do you consider that being off track? Why isn't it just you had a fun weekend?
Oh wow. Well, I've never reframed it like that. I've never I've never thought about it. And I guess that is the food rule of like if I have fun foods or I have foods that aren't the greatest for me, then my own history goes down. What happens if I keep eating foods like that and I don't feel good and I don't feel healthy and I don't, like, so I
Yeah.
kind of just have already so identified negativity with that it makes me feel like, oh, I've done bad, like,
Mhm. Food isn't good or bad. It's it's your expectation of what food is in the moment that you're placing good or bad on, right? And when we come off a weekend where we haven't been eating quote unquote well, or we're not, eating mindfully, any of those things, and we label that as like, oh, I've gone on a bender or I've been bad this weekend, instead of just saying like, oh, I've had a fun weekend. It's like, what does that reinforce in you? Shame, maybe? Guilt? Does it reinforce that you're a bad person? Does it reinforce that maybe you're not cut out for this healthy thing? Um, it when people say it's not that deep, it kind of is that deep sometimes. And so the reframe for this is like, okay, you have to recognize that that's your pattern of thinking when you go into these situations, right? And to quote unquote get back on track, it's not necessarily about the external things you're going to be doing. It's more about recentering yourself internally and saying, I didn't mess up. I just had fun and that's okay. It's going to be a much easier place to jump from rather than spiraling down into the shame cycle.
yeah, because that is where it just feels like I'm out of, like, I don't know, like there isn't a control piece there where it's just like, oh, I was out of, so I gotta really shape up, and it's like, well, I don't know why I feel that sometimes, like I don't,
Mhm.
but I do think that it is like what you're saying, where it's like your brain just starts finding the negative loop,
Yeah.
and
Well, I think
especially as
that's
somebody who's gone through ups and downs.
and that's the piece. It's like if you're someone who's gone through the ups and downs, you likely don't trust yourself, right? Like
Oh yeah.
you don't trust yourself to go on a quote unquote bender and be able to come back from that and feel centered, right? Like you don't have enough experience to work through that and view it as just a bump in the road, or actually, I just had a weekend of fun that wasn't even a bump in the road, and choose to go back to your routine as normal on Monday without it causing all of this internal chaos, right? That relationship with yourself has not been established, and it's just reflected in your choices around food and how you're thinking about it.
I'm tracking 100% because yeah, I yeah, I've in a way it's almost like I've become unreliable mentally in
You're an
this.
unreliable narrator. That's what
Right.
you are. You are an unreliable narrator, and that voice is not to be trusted.
But and at the same time I'm looking for the voice to trust.
Yes.
You know, I'm looking for the thing. I think that's why mentally I'm like, what's going to get me back on track instead of like, okay, I did that and now I'm doing this again because this is what I want to do and this is how I feel good and that was fun and fun is fun and
And
now
it's
I'm
okay to have fun. It's okay to have fun. It's okay for not every weekend to look like this perfection way of eating, like, or this perfect way of eating, right? It's okay to not be mindful 100% of the time. It's okay to overeat sometimes. It's okay to, again, not be intentional all the time with everything that you're doing in all of your life, right? Like, because that's exhausting. And I would say probably a little disordered in my opinion. If you're not able to like loosen the reins a little bit and give yourself some grace and just to have fun, and like, your life is going to be miserable in the long term, and then you're not going to want to keep up with those healthy habits because you feel like you have to just have it by a death grip for it to work. Hey, I hope you're enjoying today's conversation, and just in case you're interested, I have a little freebie for you. This is one of my favorite free guides. It is 10 basic bitch meals. I know it sounds silly, it sounds goofy, but I promise it's helpful. These are all recipes that are 3 to 5 ingredients, 15-minute prep and cook time, and use ingredients that you probably already have in your home. So if you were interested in snagging that, go ahead and grab the link below.
yeah, I feel like I'm in a clandestine set of rules that once I
Yes.
break these rules, I've broken the chain of trust.
You're done. You're
Yeah.
done. Toasted.
Now that's incredibly helpful and insightful and especially just the work that I think anybody who's reaching out to watch these things, it's like I know I'm not the only one. You know,
No,
like
I have these conversations with people all the time. When we're talking about emotions and like internal conflict, it's like those things are very ambiguous. Not a lot of people recognize that that's what's happening to them. They only see, oh my gosh, I went on a bender and I overate and all this stuff, and I'm off the rails, like that. They only see the external result of that internal chaos. So it can be really hard to explain.
yeah, because I think I'm looking for an analytical solution to a heart problem, you know, like an emotional like oh, I'm not feeling like I'm good enough in this moment or I'm
You're
not.
looking for a food solution to solve an emotional problem.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh well, if you know what's gonna fix how I feel about this weekend, eating a cup of rice. That's it. And then just a plain piece of chicken.
Control and restriction. We go back to restriction. Anytime, if your first inclination after having a weekend like that is to restrict yourself, that's how you know we're off the path, right? If it is to go to some place where it's like, I'm only going to be eating bland chicken, broccoli, and rice now because I was quote unquote bad on the weekend, red flag. Red flag. That is not where we want to be at all.
No, I love it. Thank you so much because it was on my heart. That was, I guess, was on my heart,
Yeah.
on my mind after coming off just breaking the shadows here, coming off of Halloween. Like,
Well, and I think it's relevant for the holiday conversation too, right? Yeah. So we've got Halloween, we got Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have New Year's. This is like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, every time, and it's gonna keep coming up.
yeah, and I think it's more about like, what do I want? How do I want? Like, that's the thing. It's like it's not that I'm looking for a solution. I say I'm looking for the solution, but the real work is like, hey, give yourself some grace and
And permission to have fun. Because the funny thing is, the solution that everybody's looking for, as far as like, how do I stop overeating at the holidays? How do I stop overeating and going on a quote unquote bender? during the holiday season, right? And it's to give yourself permission to eat those foods, to have fun, to let your hair down a little bit, right? And that's okay because if we give ourselves permission, you're going to be more likely to not overdo it, right? It's reverse, I don't know, psychology or something. But the more we tell ourselves, okay, I'm allowed to have that second glass of wine. I'm allowed to have an extra piece of pie. I'm allowed to have that cookie after dinner. I'm allowed to be a little overfull after Thanksgiving. You're less likely to actually do that, which sounds crazy.
It, it does make sense though, because I'm not breaking any rules.
You're not
You know
looking
what I
to
mean?
rebel because
Yeah,
you haven't put any rules on top on you to say, "Oh my gosh, I need to break those rules," right? So there's
right.
nothing to rebel against if you've given yourself full
Yeah,
permission.
then it's just like, well, I could also do this any other day of the week, and I don't necessarily need to do it then either. So I can have a little bit of this, but I don't need much.
Yeah.
And I do find just in my own personal journey that trying to do that has been helpful, where it's like, oh, I have two here, but I had one and like, I'm good. Like, one was enough. I don't need the second one,
Yeah.
which is wholly weird to me. Like not how I normally would operate. And we just shove the second one down and deal with it.
Yep.
So yeah, no, there is a lot of truth in what you're talking about there.